In this game, I was white against Jobava in 2016 during the Chess Olympiad in Baku. And Jobava, of course, is a very creative player. He plays many different openings, so of course it's a little bit difficult to catch him in the opening. But in this game, I was a little bit lucky because I got a nice preparation, I got a very nice position. But then my time management was just terrible, was just absolutely horrible. And this actually made me even lose a game that, I should have never lost such a game. Okay, let's start with the moves. I have played knight f3. He can play many different secondary lines. It's very hard to catch him. So, well, in this game he played knight f6, c4, and g6. Knight c3. This move order is interesting because now if they want to play Grunfeld, you can play some lines without d4. So it can bring some other ideas. For example, I have played myself a move like take, take, and h4, which is a very interesting idea actually, to play h5 and to create some strange positions actually. It gives some extra options, let's say. But he went bishop g7, I played e4, castle, d4, of course this is all normal, and now here he played c6, which is a little bit rare move, but he likes this move. d6 is of course the main King's Indian. So he played c6, and for this game I have checked a little bit what he has played, and I could at least have some little idea. I played bishop e2. The idea of this line, of course, is to play d5 immediately. I took here, I played e5 without taking. If I take first, I think this just helps black. Because after take, e5, now he might think about knight e4, but in general, the problem is that we don't want to give him this c6 square for his knight. So that's why we don't want to take so soon on d5. So I've played e5. After castle, basically any move is interesting for white. Just simply castle, for example. And as I said, it's important not to take so quickly on d5. I think white is just slightly better here, without much risk. He played knight e8 here, and I went h4. And this is a very interesting idea. It's very aggressive. And now it's not so easy for black to stop h5. Well, he played h5, but this gives me other positional ideas. But if he tries, for example, to play something like bishop g4, then there are many ideas with white which looks very interesting. For example, take on d5 now, take again, and now there is this idea, positional idea, knight g1, which gives white some advantage. Apart from this, there are other moves like, let's say, for example, knight g5, which again, it looks very, very interesting for white, because now I'll change these bishops, and h5 is a threat, and this knight on g5 is very annoying for him also, because it doesn't allow f6, because I would be able to jump to e6. So in general, bishop g4 is just a bad move. He played h5, and he has been playing this like a couple of times, I think. And for this game, I prepared knight g5. And actually here, he started to think a little bit already. I think he has seen this position before, but maybe he couldn't just remember what his analyses are. And he went for f6, which is the most human approach. But on the other hand, this gives a very pleasant advantage for white. He could have tried strange moves like c5. Computer is suggesting this move. But of course, it's hard to believe that this is actually working for black. I think just white is just better here. Let's say I take on c5, and if he goes d4, actually he's not threatening my knight because the queen is still pinned, so I can play a move like e6, and then I'm just creating big problems for black here. I think it's just very unpleasant. So I guess as I was playing very fast, he was trying to play safe in this stage of the game, which of course makes sense. He played f6, which is very logical. Now he wants to chase away my knight before I can play a move like g4. Because if I manage to play g4, this attack against his king is going to be very, very dangerous. So that's why he hurries his reaction in the center with f6. And so far, everything was under control for me. I had analyzed this position a little bit before the game. So I was pretty happy and trying to play fast. I have the score sheet next to me, and we can check from time to time, but right now I have 1 hour 29 and we started with 1 hour 30. So it means that well, I was playing basically instantly. So here he played the most obvious move. He takes f6. He wants to, of course, chase away my knight on g5. It's a very strong piece. And here the great idea, knight h3, because this knight now wants to come to f4, and from here we'll attack g6, a very weak spot on black's position, and from here as well we'll put some pressure on d5. So basically he cannot allow this bishop to this knight to survive, and he needs to change with bishop h3. This is all very logical. Rook h3, and well, now of course I have pair of bishops and a pleasant position in the center as well. Of course, my rook on h3 is a little bit strange, but on the other hand, I will play just simply king f1 and I'll get rid of this king in the center, which is a little bit strange. He played here a good move, f5. It's very logical to activate this bishop. He wants to put pressure on d4, and also it's harder to attack g6 now. I can only attack it from g3. But on the other hand, his queen now is putting pressure on h4, so I need to be careful as well. This is still analysis, and here, before the game, I've checked that bishop g5 seems to be the best move, according to the computer. And here it came the first move that I wasn't completely sure about, but I thought also that I had checked it. So he played queen d7, which looks absolutely normal. And here I have played king f1. And I think I've played it not so fast actually, because for bishop g5 I've spent like 4 or 5 minutes, and for king f1 again 4 or 5 minutes. Well, I knew the ideas of this position are to play queen b3 at any moment, but I thought king f1 is more needed than queen b3. So I have played king f1 first. I thought it doesn't give ideas to my opponent about what I'm going to do. If you have a move which you are sure to make, it's better to start with this move, and later on you'll decide what else to do. So king f1 is a very decent move, of course. So far I have 1 hour 20 on my clock. It's move 14, so it's the preparation was very good, and my opponent has spent much more time than me. And here, well, he played knight c7. This came as a little surprise for me. It's a logical move anyway, because he wants to protect d5. He has the possible idea to come with knight e6 at some point and putting pressure on d4 and attacking my bishop on g5. But especially he wants to support the d5 weak pawn, and he's preparing himself to develop this knight from b8 to a6 to connect the rooks. And he's also waiting to see, just in case if I take on d5, then he will take with the pawn, and then he will be able to develop his knight to c6. So basically taking on d5 never makes sense. Here I thought for very long actually. Maybe too much. I remember that I thought too much, and we will see now. Yes, absolutely crazy. I had 1 hour 20 when I played king f1, which is very reasonable. And here I played rook e3 after 27 minutes. This is just insane. This is just insane. It just makes no sense. Rook e3 is a very decent move, of course, but on the other hand, there are many moves that are nice. Well, actually queen b3 has the problem of knight e6, and the position gets a little bit tricky here, because cd5, knight d4. And I'm not sure why it is so much better, just maybe a little bit better, but not much. Because if I take d takes c6, check, he'll take knight b3, I take cd7, knight a1, and now d8. But this is kind of possible to play for black. It's a little bit worse maybe, but it's not really so much, because this knight on a1 will escape very easily, and black is doing fine. So queen b3 is nothing special. But there was a move like rook c1 as well, which looks very nice. But rook e3 is actually a nice move. It's a very good move, but it could have been played, let's say, in 12 minutes at maximum. 27 is way too much. You should never think more than 20 minutes. If you think more than 20 minutes, something went absolutely wrong. And it's very hard to calculate here. After rook e3, he has many moves, and it's hard to calculate everything, actually. So spending all that much time in a move that is not absolutely necessary, it will create problems later. And this is exactly what happened. This is probably the move that loses the game almost. I mean, it's almost like this. It's a terrible decision to spend 27 minutes on this move. I mean, all my preparation was so good that I have spent very little time till here. But remember, you have like around 2-3 minutes per move and here if you spend 27 minutes, you just gave like loads of moves that you'll have to play immediately. Of course, till now I had played a lot of moves immediately in the opening, but still 27 minutes is just way too much. He played knight a6, and I think I haven't even considered this move so much. So imagine how stupid it feels when your opponent plays something new after 27 minutes. But of course, I mean, it's hard to actually analyze everything because he has a number of moves that are not losing. Knight a6 is one of them, but he had also rook f7, which covers, of course, the main threat of white to play rook e7 at some point. He has a move like bishop f6, this with the same idea, and he has different moves actually. Knight e6 is also not that terrible. I mean, white is clearly better, but his moves, there are tons of moves, and it's basically impossible to calculate everything. So you need to trust your intuition, you need to calculate a little bit. But as I said, for example, I knew cd5 is wrong, so this move is not good. I knew queen b3 I didn't like because I calculated this long line. So basically there are 2-3 moves left, and between these moves you can choose in 10-12 minutes, not more. So I went rook e3, and he came knight ba6, and now I already started to panic because it's like, wow, what am I doing? I mean, I spent 27 minutes for nothing. So I decided to play simple chess from here. And it wasn't a bad decision, actually. It was a decent decision to play simple chess, but of course it would be better to spend the 27 minutes here than before rook e3, because actually here it's much more interesting position for calculating, because here there are actually 2-3 moves. Now it's very interesting to calculate what is happening after queen b3. For example, let's say he goes bishop d4, rook e7, queen d6. We need to be careful with this move queen d6 because sometimes queen h2 might create lots of trouble. So cd5, and it's hard to defend for black here. Maybe it's a very bad position for him already. Let's say knight d5. I can take on d5. He takes back, and a move like bishop f3. This move is very nice, bishop f3. Apart from attacking on d5, I have always the idea after queen h2 I can play g3. And, well, no, g3 not. I mean, it's not in this position, actually. No, I wanted to say that, but it doesn't work now with the bishop on d4, of course, because I'm blundering I made on f2. But in general, I mean, this bishop f3, the idea is, apart from d5, it can protect the h1 square with g3. But of course, this doesn't work if the bishop is already on d4. Anyway, this position just looks terrible for black, really. So queen b3 was a move where you want to spend some time, where you want to spend 5-6 minutes here, realizing that he is in big trouble. He's in really big trouble, and this bishop d4, rook e7, queen d6, cd5 needs to be calculated, but it just looks very good for white. C takes d5 now, and now bishop a6. He basically has too many weaknesses, and his king is so bad on g8. So this was actually a very strong move. I haven't played it, but I would consider that I didn't play it because I have spent too much time before, and now I didn't want to spend again too much time. So after knight ba6, how long it took me to take on d5? Yes, 6 minutes. It took me 6 minutes to take on a6. and d5 and a6 after. And yeah, that was a bit fast, because this is actually a very important position, and queen b3 is basically destroying the game. But I didn't want to spend a lot, and I felt a lot of pressure already on my time. cd5, maybe I was exaggerating a little bit, because it's not that bad. I spent 27 minutes, but on the other hand, I have played like 14 moves very fast in the opening, so I could have spent another 10-12 minutes for next move, queen b3 or something. But I didn't want to. That's the idea, yeah. Okay, he took cd5, and here I wanted to keep the game simple. I thought my advantage is huge, and I thought, just let's change this knight here, but might be strongest to simply just put bishop f3, and then we can think about ideas like knight e2, knight f4, attacking on g6, or the typical ideas with queen b3, connected with rook e7 or with rook a e1. It looks just like a huge advantage for white, really, huge. Losing this game is kind of cruel, and especially in the way it happened, because I went into a crazy time travel. Then also my team was losing, Spain was losing against Georgia, and I thought I had to risk even more. And at some point I could take a draw, and I didn't even make it. So, I mean, all the factors were added, but it's absolutely my fault. There is no one else to blame, of course. So I took on a6. Knight a6, now queen b3 is just terrible for black. So he took ba6, rook e7, queen d3, queen d6. And here I had a couple of options, but I was a little bit worried about this idea queen h2, which is not so terrible because it's just a check, but that's why I played queen f3. I didn't want to calculate very much about it, so now if this queen comes, I can always play g3 and trap the queen here on h2. But apart from this move, there was also queen a4, which is more ambitious even, and I have these ideas with rook d7 sometimes, or even queen d7, doubling rooks on the e file. I mean, it looks just like a huge position again for white. This queen f3 is not the best, but I think at least I have played it very fast, yes. I thought a little bit about bishop a6. Well, not a little bit, a lot actually. Like 10 minutes for bishop a6. And this is again too much. I mean, I'm just playing bad and slow, which is not a good idea in general. I'm playing bad and slow. But I mean, my opening position was so good that even if I'm playing bad and slow, it doesn't matter. I'm still a huge favorite here. Well, I played queen f3. I have super pressure in the position because I'm trying to bring the other rook. I have this f4 square for the bishop, maybe d5 is very weak, and this pawn on d4 doesn't really even matter at all. He played rook f8, rook fe8, which is a good move actually. He wants to change some pieces. Of course, when you are under pressure, changing pieces releases a little bit of the tension of the pressure. So I played rook e1. He took on e7, I took, and here I basically thought that it's very hard for him to find the move. I thought I had the huge advantage, but in fact, he found a great move, actually an only move, because I'm threatening now to take on c7 in general. And, well, let's say, for example, he takes on d4, just a random move. Then I take on c7, he takes back, and I take on d5, and I give check and take his rook, and I'm just winning. And I found this idea very hard to stop. And the problem, for example, is like if he goes, for example, rook b8, now I have a move like queen f4, and basically this spin is very annoying, the knight on c7, so he cannot change queens. Well, he can, but he's just basically totally lost here because I'm winning material. So rook b8 is also a bad move, and well, I couldn't really find which move he wants to play. Let's say he goes, for example, rook e8, but again, it's a terrible position. Let's say I take on e8, take, and knight d5. It's a pawn up already, so let's say he takes on d4, trying to get the material back. Then I play queen b3, and his position is just totally lost. I mean, his king is too weak. I have better pieces, better king, so everything is better. Better structure, even like everything. And this is a mating attack, probably just. So I totally underestimated this move, rook c8. It came a little bit as a shock to me. And well, here I felt a little bit like shocked, like in the opening, and I spent too much time after rook c8. Well, I don't really understand what I've. Okay. Well, the problem basically is that I wanted to play queen f4, and I was calculating a lot here that he wants to take on f4, and I was thinking about these endgames with knight b5. But this is just a very big advantage for white and without risk. So it's not something that you should be very bothered about. I mean, here I will play any move, and I'm just clearly better. And if this happens, what is the risk? Zero, almost zero risk. Even if I have 1 minute, I'll not lose this position. I can make a draw, but I'll not lose. So it's not something that you should be very worried about. But actually, when this move came, this queen c6, it was like, wow, no, it's not so clear what I'm doing, because now this d4 pawn might be in trouble sometimes. This queen c4 is coming. So basically, I was a little bit shocked, because when I saw this, I thought queen f4 forces to go into this endgame, and now queen c6 comes, and I felt again a little bit just surprised, and yeah, I didn't know what to do exactly. Played king g1, and yeah, as I said, this queen c6 came as a shock. I had still 31 minutes after queen c6, and I spent 16 to play king g1. But king g1 is like the most obvious move in the history. I don't know. It's really not that. I mean, there is not so much to do, so you just improve your king. But of course, I mean, I thought I was kind of winning before. And now, suddenly, I'm just a little bit better. The problem is that mentally I wasn't prepared for starting to fight again. And I couldn't handle it. And I have spent lots of time for an obvious move like king g1. So this is a very clear sample of horrible time management, yes. Because king g1 is a good move, but well, basically not in 16 minutes, and especially not if you have half an hour left. So now after king g1, I have 15 minutes left, so I have less than a minute per move, which is a very bad idea in such a complex position still. And right now it still looks pretty solid, but you'll see how it gets sharp very soon. Bishop f8 is normal. He wants to get rid of this annoying rook. I've played rook e3. Well, rook e1 is also, of course, possible. Yeah, rook e1 is possible as well, but rook e3 looks logical to me. This rook on e3 protects the knight from some knight b5 or something, and it also can at some point come to g3, or, well, it's a decent square. He came bishop d6, queen f3 is forced. And here, still, white is just better, because he has very bad pieces. His king is super weak compared to mine. And now he goes for this sharp move, knight b5. And, well, now he takes advantage that I'm down to some minutes, because now it's hard to calculate what's happening here. I had different moves, and one of the moves that I like a lot right now is to play a4. Because if he takes knight d4, I can play queen d1 like in the game, but with a better chance than in the game, actually, because he doesn't have some strong f4 like it happened in the game. So a4 was very simple, and if he takes on c3, I'm simply winning with rook c3, because d5 and c8 are under pressure. So a4 looks just so strong. He has to come back, and now I have any move to improve my position, and it looks just like a huge advantage for white again. So a4 was pretty simple, and I'm not really sure why I didn't play it, because I've seen the idea, I played g3, but this is just about feeling the pressure or something. It's not about chess, because I've seen the idea that d4 is not hanging. So he took on d4. Well, it's not hanging, it is hanging, but after queen d1, it's hard for him to organize something. And so he went for f4, and this gives him some break. And why to do that, actually? The pawn on g3 is not helping me at all. So it's a waiting move, which is bad. It was better not to do anything, almost. Still, I thought I'm better here, so, and I was right. I'm still slightly better, but I'm making like mistake after mistake, playing slow. So it's like basically everything is going wrong, apart from the very nice opening that I've played. f4, gf4, knight f5. Now this gave him the possibility to come back with a knight and to attack my rook. So basically I'm giving him lots of chances in this game. It's a game I cannot be proud of, definitely. Played rook e6, attacking on g6. He goes king f7, rook f6 check, king g7. And now I had many moves, but well, the problem is that I realized that the normal move, queen d5, he'll take, give check, and rook c2, and it's very difficult to say that white has lots of winning chances here. Maybe I'm slightly better, but not much, definitely. I could try something like king f3 and try to play knight e3 and change this strong guy on f5, but I found hard to believe that I have winning chances. The match was going bad for our team. We were losing. So I decided that I had to play for a win. And I decided that I can play risky. But the problem is you are in move 30. And you have well, I didn't even write down how much time I had in move 30. But in move 27 I had 10 minutes already. So it means that I had less than 10 minutes here. And going for this sharp position with rook f5 with less than 10 minutes, now you're playing for 3 results already. And in this game, this should have never happened. You cannot play for 3 results in this game. It's just very bad. I mean, you made horrible options to play for 3 results, because I had such a great position, and suddenly I'm playing just for random chance, really. So queen d4 check. The idea is that after king g8, I take on d5 with the knight. Obviously, white has the easiest position to play here. I mean, probably with computer you cannot say white is better, but at least it looks just much more difficult to play with black. But the problem is, like, it's more difficult, but on the other hand, he had a lot of time and I didn't. So this gives him a huge advantage. He played queen b7, which is interesting move, but probably not the best one. His best move was king h7, but this is a very difficult move, actually. This is a difficult move, but as I said, my position was easier to play. But well, let's see what happened. Queen b7. Here I had played a very interesting move. Well, his idea, of course, is to give some space to his rook, and he can give a check and sometimes create big problems with the queen on h1, and well, made me there. I have played a very nice move here, queen d1, and he was a little bit surprised here. He thought for a long time, but he had lots of time, and he played a move which is strange. He played rook c6, but on the other hand, it's hard to make a move here with black. It's just you have h5 hanging. You have this knight f6 check coming anytime, and I'm super solid with these pawns and this bishop on g5. My king is not as weak as his king, so I have full compensation, of course, for the exchange. He played rook c6, and now I have played b4, which is a very logical move. I didn't see what else to do, but in fact, knight f6, king f8, and now something like b3. This gives white a very nice position, some advantage for sure. Because I have already a pawn and a piece for the material, but also h5 is hanging, and it will be taken any moment. And also f5 is super weak. On the other hand, my pawns are super safe with this super bishop on g5, so I had a better position here. But instead of that, I played b4, which looks logical to me. First of all, because it stops this pawn from being hanging. It gives this square b3 for my queen, it's a possibility. And it also stops his bishop, so controls this c5 square. So it has lots of ideas. Here he could have played maybe a move like queen f7. This was probably a better idea. But he went for king f8. And here, well, I saw that I have a draw, and I have very few time left in my clock. I have, well, yeah, basically I'm down to a couple of minutes now, 1-2 minutes. He plays king f8, and I see that I have this draw with queen h5. He gives check, I go king h2, he takes, and I give check on h8. And this is basically a simple draw, because he has to go, for example, to f7, then I go queen f6, and here I have queen d8 check. So this is a very simple draw, and you can calculate it in 1 minute. It's not complicated. And this actually was like, I was tempted to do it, because I thought, well, now it's crazy to reject a draw in such a interesting position, but I have 1-2 minutes, and it's too much risk to play for a win here. Well, he could cover here queen g8, but it doesn't matter, because you give check and you take this guy on d6, and you can never lose with white here, because his king is super weak, so it's basically impossible to lose. You'll always have at least a perpetual check. I saw this, but I had the feeling that I have a good position, and I was actually right. The problem is my best moves are not simple at all. There is a move like a4, computer is suggesting, which is just, it didn't even come to my mind. I mean, this is a wonderful move, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Another move is a3, protecting b4 simply, and then you can move this knight freely to e3 or to f6. This was another good move, but I went for the most direct, and this happens often. When you have very short time on your clock, you go for the direct approach, and this was a very bad option, actually. I gave check. He goes king f7, and, well, now I had to play a very nice move, king h2, but it didn't happen. I mean, I just went queen h5 check, which looks just like a horrible move, simply. I mean, now suddenly I start to be worse already here. I cannot, because I totally disconnected my bishop. My bishop on h6 is horrible. My queen on h5 is not very good neither, because now he has this rook c1 check coming any moment, so it suddenly gets very, very tricky here. He goes king e6, and I don't really have something direct, and, well, now I'm in trouble. I need to play very precise now with white. Maybe the best move was knight c3, but this is already like, you need 20 minutes to find this move. It's not obvious at all, because you're giving the knight on c3. You need to calculate this, and, well, it's not so obvious to see that queen g6 is actually winning for white, because after check after king d5 you have check on g2, and after king d7 you have check on g7. You take back the rook. But he doesn't really need to take on c3, of course, and I'm not really sure what I'm doing with this move, with this knight c3. So he could play something like queen f7, and, well, it's just an unclear position, but knight c3 is a super rare move, and I panicked with 1 minute on the clock. I played queen f3, which is a horrible move. Basically, I'm pinning myself, and it's not a very good idea to pin yourself. I mean, I don't even know why to play that move. But when you are down to 1 minute, anything can happen. And now, if we remember how we started this game, I played the opening very fast. And then I spent 27 minutes on rook e3, which is a random normal move. Now, this 27 minutes made me make a blunder now. And this is why I said in the beginning that rook e3 was losing the game. And this is exactly what happened. I mean, everything just happens because of something. He could have won here with rook b6, but he played rook c4, which is Very logical. And this gave me a chance to save. But once more, I'm down to 1 minute. It's move 39. I need to play 2 moves. He gave me a little chance here. The problem is very difficult to play like this. I had to play Queen G3, but this is a super move. This is a super move because you're giving the knight with both pieces. He can take the knight. If he takes if he takes with a king, then there is this draw, which is strange. Queen d3 check, rook d4, queen b3 check again. He tries to escape with king c6 and now queen c3, and it's a draw. He has to come back. And this draw is very hard to find, actually, of course. And if he takes with the queen, this is easier. And actually, it was the idea. Then I have queen g8 and I win the queen. I played a similar idea, but it's a much worse version because I've played queen g2, but now I'm still pinned. And this is a big problem because with this move, with queen g3, then I will not be pinned anymore. I can move my knight at some point. But here, the problem is I played queen g2 and he played queen h7, which is not the best move, but he was also a little bit getting into time trouble here. But if he goes rook d4, I'm just totally lost. Because now he's attacking my knight again, and if I move it, he will change queens, and I'm dead lost here. So basically he played queen h7, and I realized that I can play bishop g5, but I think he could even come back now to b7. So he'll go into reach the time control, and then he can think, and he's completely winning. So maybe that's why I played knight e3, but basically I'm lost already, so there is no escape. Well, the game finished very quickly. Rook c1, check, king h2, and now bishop f4. But even queen h6 is also winning, but bishop f4 is even forcing matters even more. So he took on f4. I have to play king h3 because this is just losing on the spot here, and he has everything here. He has even rook h1, or he has even everything is winning. So yeah, king h3. He took bishop h6, and this is just a rook up. There is no. There are just a few checks that I did because it's a team competition, but well, terrible time management. Honestly, terrible. Just terrible. There is no justification. Not possible to justify this game. Queen d6 check. King g7. I played knight d5, but it doesn't really matter. Queen g6. I gave check, and here he has to be a little bit careful, but it's not so complicated for such a strong player. King h7, knight f6, and king h8. And, well, then he'll be able to defend himself very easily here. There is no strong checks, actually. I played knight e4 check, he went queen g7, check again, queen f8, check again, bishop g7. I resigned. Well, this was tough, actually, because when you are completely winning and during 20 moves you have a huge advantage, and then you reject a draw at any moment and everything, and you lose. Wow, this makes you feel not so good. But well, it was absolutely my fault. Absolutely. I mean, who told me to think 27 minutes for rook e3? It was just it makes no sense. So I have to think. I mean, you have to think about it. It's a good thing that I'm showing this game right now, because maybe for the next games I will be more aware of this. Like, well, what am I doing? Wait a second. I mean, like 27 minutes is not possible. It's let's say maximum is 20. In the worst case scenario, you think 20 minutes, but not 27. This is just makes no sense. And this is only where a move that is like the most important move of the game. And definitely rook e3 was not even close to be the most important move of the game. So huge mistake there, and then it happens what it happens. I mean, all the game is connected. All the game is connected. It happens. Your time is very important, so take care of it. Thanks for watching. Time travel, or horrible administration of time. Well, this is connected normally with many factors. It can be because of a bad opening preparation. It can be that you just don't feel comfortable with the position you reached. or that you have never practiced this kind of position over a board. So try to think about these words and try to feel at home a little bit, to think about what can you improve, and try to follow your own advices afterwards, because well, you're going to play long games, but you sometimes you feel it's you have lots of time, but it's not so long. Normally 40 moves for 1 hour 40 or 1 hour 30. It happens pretty fast, so be aware that the time runs fast, and sometimes chess can be easy, so try to recognize these moments and try to, in these moments, play a little bit faster than you normally do. Thanks.